Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to our presentation. This is the presentation for Enter 2021 conference, and we wanted to do something different. So instead of giving you the traditional lecture, so we are giving you an interview. My name is Johanna Heinonen, and I'm presenting University of Eastern Finland. And with me, I have Veera Riikonen and Juho Pesonen, also from UEF. Welcome. So Veera, could you first of all tell a little bit about yourself and of course about the research and how you became interested about this topic?
Yes, okay, so I studied tourism marketing and management in University of Eastern Finland and I graduated in July 2020. And I wrote about my thesis about consumer value in traveling by land experience. And yeah, that was my thesis, and this research is based on the research I made. And the purpose of the research was to understand the phenomena of traveling by land, the whole phenomena holistically, and what's the desired consumer value of the traveling by land experience. And in this research, traveling by land means traveling using the surface transport modes. So people who travel avoiding flights and avoiding planes. And I'm personally really interested about the topic, and especially now after COVID, I think it's very current topic as well.
Yeah, and this sustainability theme is a big thing in our research group and in our master's degree program, and we have been started thinking that what would the world be like if flying would be banned altogether, and we figured out that studying this Facebook group and this traveling by land experience could shed some light on what kind of this no flying, slow travel consumer experience would be like.
Okay, how about the slow travel? Juho, could you please give us an insight?
There is, of course, many different definitions for what consists of slow travel and what it is, but it's mostly connected to traveling by land and traveling by, well, slower alternative transportation methods, especially non-flying methods. And slow travelers utilize different surface transportation modes such as trains, buses, bicycles, and etc. Sometimes cars are included, sometimes not. It depends a little bit, but at least planes are typically not included in slow travel experience. And especially the preservation of ecological footprint and climate change are important perspectives in slow travel, and that's why it's so much connected to our research topic. We have to critically examine our travel behavior and the ways we choose transportation options and how we travel, because all of those have an impact on the environment and sustainability of tourism.
Then about customer value in this slow travel, could you give also some insight for that?
So our society is very much based on the idea of consumption and how we consumption represents quite a lot on who we are and to which kind of lifestyles and tribes we belong to. And through this consumption mechanism, we figured out that also, if we look at slow travel, the consumer experience and consumer behavior is still an essential part of it. And in this study, we relied on Holbrook's consumer value categories, which are these 8 categories, which have also been expanded in studies conducted, for example, by Kompula and Garner in 2013. And this if we want to understand what kind of consumer experience, consumption experience these slow travelers have, what other things that they value, this typology provides us quite a good theoretical basis on which we can analyze and understand the phenomenon better.
Okay, thank you. How about then the methodology? This was an ethnographic study. So could you give us who are not so into this ethnographic approach some ideas that what is this all about and how was the research conducted, what kind of methods were used and so on? Is it Veera?
Yes, okay, so since we chose to collect the data from the Facebook group, I basically just copy-pasted posts from the research group, from those who travel by land group, and in total I downloaded 185 posts, and I just conducted a own Word file for those and analyzed the data to different themes, and I tried to find different value components from each of the posts.
So you used content analysis to go through
Yes.
each one of these posts and analyze and look at what kind of consumption values were represented in this post, right?
Yes, exactly.
And the Facebook group is quite big, right? There's how many users there are? Something like 20,000 or
20,000.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much is at the moment, but even when I conducted the research for a couple of months, the amount of the members was increasing like a lot. So that also tells that the topic is very current and more people are interested about the way of traveling by land.
And the timing especially is interesting because in January 2020 the coronavirus hadn't hit the world that bad yet, and nonetheless the interest in this group was growing rapidly, demonstrating that the
Yes.
topic was interesting for many already before the coronavirus pandemic.
Well, I think that we are all really interested in hearing what were the results.
So I would say quite surprisingly, people value minimizing the time and the price of the traveling experience, since my own pre-assumption was that people choose to travel by land for environmental reasons, but that can also explained due to the fact that people have already made the conscious choice to travel by land before joining the group. So there was a lot of discussion about practical matters in the group, like people were asking tips and advice from other travelers who choose this alternative way of traveling by land instead of flying. But yeah, like the table shows from the Holbrook's value dimensions play was the most applicable one, since more than half of the posts were categorized under the value component play. And it's realized, like in the posts, people were having fun while traveling, and most of the people in the group were planning on the leisure travel. And like I said earlier, efficiency was also very highly valued in the group, since people didn't really, or at least most of the people didn't really want to spend a lot of time while traveling. They wanted to get to their destination fast, and also comparing ticket prices and choosing the most inexpensive tickets was applicable to the efficiency value dimension. So self-oriented active value components were the most applicable. And yeah, the environmental aspects of traveling by land can be considered secondary in contributing to consumer value, since ethics were not from 185 posts, only 25 mentioned environmental reasons in choosing the traveling by land instead of flying.
And these results were quite surprising, right? Especially regarding the efficiency kind of function, because we tend to think that in slow tourism it's all about the experience in itself, as travel as an experience, but the results actually demonstrated that it's not just about the experience, but even in slow travel people still want to travel as fast and convenient and easy as possible, and this is quite a challenge, especially for slow travel in Europe.
Based on the fact that there was a lot of discussion about the practical matters in the Facebook group, it tells that maybe there isn't that much information, or choosing a flight is easier, and still people want to get a peer support when making decisions about traveling by land.
How about the conclusions then, based on this? What would you say?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing we learned that we just discussed was that even in slow tourism, timetables, prices, and effort and convenience matter quite a lot. And it also demonstrates how difficult slow tourism is in Europe, because it's kind of like a really high risk, high involvement decision to make, to spend so much time and so much money on traveling compared to, for example, flying. And there is just not enough convenient, easy to find information available online that people would easily find about slow tourism, about moving around Europe, traveling by land. So they need this kind of a community, a support group that helps them to make the decision and helps them to find the relevant information and shares their experiences. And this kind of social media community definitely supports sustainable tourism behavior and slow tourism as a phenomenon, because I would say that without this kind of community, many tourists would find it daunting and too difficult to adopt this kind of travel method in a way that they could trust that everything goes right, and they could rely on the information that they receive. And this group, for example, is also like a peer support group for people who are already on the trip, who are doing the trip and needing more information and asking for recommendations. So there's many kind of like functional values that these kind of groups bring, and it's great that around traveling by land phenomenon, this kind of group has been started and is gaining quite a lot of traction among tourists and a lot of interest, and it will be interesting to see, for example, how this COVID situation affects the group, and would be interesting to, for example, conduct some kind of studies about the travel choices and behavior during and after this pandemic, and comparing them to what we found in this study.
Is there something else you'd like to add now, or suggestions or recommendations for our watchers?
No, I think you did a great job with your master's thesis, and I'm really happy to see it published in this Enter 21 conference. And of course, the conference proceedings is published as an open access book, so everybody interested in this topic can find the book, Information and Communication Technologies in Tourism 2021, online, and download this chapter among many other chapters that are connected to the e-tourism field. So please go and download the chapter and read it and see the details. And if you have any questions, you are free to contact us.
Thank you very much for both of you.
Thank you.